Welcome to the PAES Lab. This is the 12th PAES Lab training video. In this video, we will show you how to use specific PAES tools to assess employees who have significant needs.
When I sat in on a keynote by Dr. Lou Brown from the University of Wisconsin, where he made the statement, if you're conscious and can move any part of your body, you're employable.
PAES is built with Brown's philosophy in mind. One of the main goals of PAES is to get to the hidden employment potential for students, even the ones with significant needs. In situations where it's clear that an employee cannot complete jobs successfully on their own, PAES has tools to help assess their employability. These 4 tools are accommodations, modifications, the optional scoring process, and the subtask assessment. Accommodations and modifications alter a job in some way to help employees successfully perform jobs that they otherwise would not be able to. The optional scoring process allows evaluators to provide increasing levels of assistance if necessary, without requiring the employee to repeat the entire job over and over. If an employee can't perform an entire job, but can perform parts of a job successfully, subtask assessments let you break that job down to reveal the employee's strengths. We will now cover each of these 4 tools in detail. An accommodation is any material you give an employee that they use while performing a job. Employees with physical disabilities, impaired vision, or language difficulties might need accommodations like taped audio prompts, visual aids, or an interpreter. Examples of common accommodations include a model of the completed job, a chart or diagram, or larger print instructions or illustrations. Accommodations should be in line with reasonable accommodations employees would have access to in a real-world work environment. It can be difficult to distinguish between assistance and an accommodation. Remember, an accommodation stays with an employee while they attempt a job. Assistance is given to an employee before they attempt a job. A modification, like an accommodation, makes a job easier for an employee. However, unlike an accommodation, modifications change the outcome of the job. Common modifications include reduced workload or ongoing prompts throughout the job. If the employee isn't using a subtask data collection booklet, accommodations or modifications are recorded in the standard data collection booklet along with other scores. Simply check the ACC space next to the job, and then describe the accommodation or modification in the back of the data collection booklet in the space provided. If an employee with significant needs regularly struggles to complete Level 1 jobs, especially if they get frustrated when asked to retry jobs from the beginning, they would probably benefit from the optional scoring process. This is the optional scoring process flowchart. It's designed to assess employees with significant needs more accurately without making them repeat trials unsuccessfully over and over. The optional scoring process is similar to the standard scoring process in many ways. However, it has some key differences. In the standard scoring process, a supervisor provides the least amount of assistance necessary on each trial, instructs the employee to repeat the entire job if it's performed unsuccessfully, and walks away while the employee attempts the job. This is important for establishing and assessing workplace independence. In the optional scoring process, however, the supervisor prompts the employee to explain or demonstrate how they think the job should be performed, and provides increasing levels of assistance until it is clear that the employee understands how to do the job. Each new level of assistance provided counts as a trial, and there are minimum scoring parameters set for work rate and quality. Let's review how it works. Follow along on your optional scoring process flowchart. When an employee asks you over before they perform a job, ask the employee to explain or demonstrate what they think they should do to complete the job. If they explain or show you how to perform the job correctly, let them try to perform the job independently with an assistance score of 1. In this case, you would follow the standard scoring process starting at step 10 when the employee calls you over to check their work. However, if they do not explain or demonstrate what they need to do correctly, explain parts or even the entire job if necessary, this counts as a verbal explanation with a score of 2 for assistance. Be sure you are only giving verbal information about how to do the job at this point. Remember not to use your hands to show them how to perform procedure steps. You can then ask once again, "Now show me what you think you should do." If the employee answers correctly, you can let them attempt their first independent trial, recording an assistance score of 2. Then, when the employee calls you over to check their work, follow the standard scoring process on the scoring guide flowchart for step 10, first trial. If the employee is still struggling, give them a demonstration of all or part of the job. After the demonstration, ask the employee to explain the job again. If the employee correctly explains how to do the job, give them a verbal assistance score of 3. Since they did not correctly show you how to do the job after verbal assistance, their quality and work rate scores must be greater than 1. Give them minimum scores of 2 or 3 for these parameters based on how well they described how to do the job. Also be sure to record their interest and mark a trial tally. As before, you can now instruct the employee to start their second independent trial. After the employee attempts the job and you come back to check their work, follow the standard scoring process for step 10, additional trials. Be sure that quality is greater than 1, work rate is greater than 1, and trials already has 1 mark. If they receive a demonstration and they still make mistakes showing you what they think they will do, provide a guided practice. You can then ask again, "Now show me what you think you will do." If after a guided practice they answer correctly, record an assistance score of 4. As they previously made mistakes in their explanation after having a demonstration, mark 2 trial tallies. Now let them attempt the job for what will be counted as the third independent trial. Then again, when the employee calls you over to check their work, follow the standard scoring process for step 10, additional trials. Always remember to follow the scoring guidelines in the standard scoring flowchart for any score not indicated in the optional scoring flowchart. Sometimes an employee will still struggle to perform a job after guided practice. If that's the case, consider doing a subtask assessment and change their scores to the following. The major difference between the optional scoring process and the standard scoring process is that in between each of these levels of assistance, you don't have to have the employee perform the whole job again from scratch. Only ask the employee to repeat the whole job if you believe they have a reasonable chance of performing it correctly. A subtask assessment is conducted when the employee is not able to perform the entire job, but can perform parts or subtasks of the job. All subtask assessment scores are recorded in the subtask data collection booklet. When conducting a subtask assessment, you are trying to find out which parts of the job the employee can perform correctly when given a verbal prompt. First, mark the following scores in both the standard and subtask booklets: Quality 3, Rate 3, Assistance 4, and Trials 4. Second, ask the employee to perform the job, and mark a subtask completed if it is performed successfully in response to a verbal prompt. Third, check the ACC space in the subtask booklet if accommodations or modifications were provided. Fourth, describe the accommodations you gave in the space provided. Additional space is available at the end of the booklet. And finally, remember when entering scores in the scoring software to check off the whole job in the ESP column after you've entered the scores. Similarly, check off each individual subtask after entering them in the scoring software as well. We will show you how to use the scoring software in the next video, entering data on the computer, putting scores into the scoring software. In this case, the employee is doing a subtask assessment for job FS1. They have correctly wrapped the burger, but struggle to repeat the process accurately. The subtask assessment booklet would be filled out accordingly. These are the pages of the scoring guide that pertain to assessing employees with significant needs. Employees with significant needs will often use more than one of these 4 tools: accommodations, modifications, the optional scoring process, and subtask assessments, each of which can be used in conjunction with each other. Now that we've gone over how to assess employees with significant needs, let's review. Accommodations and modifications assist employees by giving them additional tools to perform the job or change the job's outcome to make it easier to perform. The optional scoring process allows supervisors to provide all levels of assistance without requiring employees with lower function to repeat the entire job if they make mistakes. If guided practice is not sufficient to equip the employee to perform the entire job without intervention, then consider doing the subtask assessment. In the next video, we'll learn how to enter data in the PAES scoring software. Thanks.